faith, business, impact. You're tuned in to Boppr with Purpose podcast, where purpose leads and success follows. Hey, we are live and direct on Boppr with the Purpose podcast. Got the one and only Nando Corbs. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing amazing. Thank God.
Nice. How was your day today? What did you do?
It was super amazing, man. I can't complain. I have a wonderful day, to be honest.
Nice. In the shop or just business stuff?
So there's a couple things that we're planning. I was mostly in meetings and stuff. So like I think that is not I don't think that is a secret that I've exited my businesses. So like right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a lot of consulting and stuff like that. So like I'm dedicating myself more to um educating the next generation of barbers.
Nice. Love it. Did you ever sell that van?
No, I have the van. So I was gonna go ahead and raffle the van, but I ended up not raffling it. So no, I have not sold it.
Dang. So but the raffle's still live, right?
No, I actually ended up canceling that just because um before I started, I ended up like canceling it because it wasn't just convenient at the time. I had too many stuff going on. So like one thing that I've been noticing and that I've been preaching to people is like whenever you're gonna scale or whenever you're going to do something, it's not wrong doing multiple things at the same time. It's just like having the right structure. So I feel
Right.
like me having so many stuff going at the time, I didn't have the right structure to do it right there.
Right. 100%. Totally get that for sure. Structure is like the number one most important thing when it comes to business. I mean,
For
that's
sure.
that's what most
And
people I
I
think
think
miss and lack.
I think people don't talk about that enough in our industry.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. 100%. So, obviously, as you know, we started this podcast where, purpose leads and success follows. And it's all about faith inside of our businesses and using it as a ministry and a business at the same time to impact the next generation, and I seen you've been posting a lot more about, church and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So that's why I was like, man, I got to get him on, pick your brain and see
Yeah.
how your mindset and all of that kind of stuff plays a factor, when it comes to business and then incorporating faith in it. So just have, obviously some questions outlined. I don't know if you can see inside of the notes on StreamYard, but I have all the questions there so that way, we can run through those real quick.
What you
But
got them on
what
the
was that?
yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I you got them on the comments or I'm kind of
Notes.
new to StreamYard, so
Yeah, it's right under notes on the right hand side.
right under notes. Let me give me 1 second. No, I see the need help. I don't see the notes part. I guess it's not coming up on mine.
Dang, tragic. All right, well, I'll read them off.
Yeah.
Before the brand and the buzz, who were you becoming? So prior to barbering and building brands and all of that kind of stuff, who were you?
Man, to be honest, like, this is crazy that we're talking about this now because like I'm gonna break some stuff to y'all. Like I'm trying to create a course and I'm trying to create some new things to be able to consult with barbers and to consult with people that are in the barbering industry. And that was a question that they asked me, right? Like who am I? Like what do I do? Stuff like that. So like before all of this, I think that I was just a kid that was confused. And I think that I was confused because I couldn't wrap myself around the fact that like my mom died one day and then the next day I had to continue to live my life like it didn't happen. And when I'm saying that, it's like when I was 18 years old, my mom passed from cancer. My dad was in the military and then he came and he was able to be here 3 days only because he was with the military at the time. So like he had to go back, and it's like, man, like these people didn't care that my mom died. They don't care like how old I am. Like they're letting me go. Like they're like trying to close down this apartment. And I think that I was just a young, insecure kid that I didn't have the questions figured out. That's who I was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and going through that at such a young age is I can only imagine tragic,
Hmm.
like my wife lost her mom, my mother-in-law last April, and it's been almost a year now, and there's not a day that goes by where my wife's not crying, and she's in the other room, and it's tough. And when she passed at like 4 o'clock in the morning. We
Yeah.
went and saw her in hospice. She was there for 14 days. um we were there pretty much every single day. She passed in the middle of the night. We get a call. My wife and I are up, and all the lights were on at 4:30 in the morning. And
Yeah.
we get the call, and I'm like, phew. I was like, Alina, it's that call. And so we went there, and you're right. I mean, that day, like, because she worked at her dad's liquor store, that day we had to drive down to the liquor store and open up the store at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
right after she passed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
these people don't care. Like, they don't even
Yeah.
know. They might care, but like it's not right. It's hard, dude. Like, it's very freaking hard.
Yeah. Life goes on. Life goes on, and
Yeah.
that's the reality.
Yep. Yep. And you have to think about what would your loved one want you to do? You know? Would
I think that that's the only thing that kept me going, right? Because you have to understand, like a lot of us, like a lot of people tell me, like, what is your driver? Like, why are you doing? First, of course, God was there throughout every step. But the thing is, we have to understand is like, what will my mom want me to do, right? She wouldn't want me to be a nobody or like want me to like turn into drugs and alcohol. Like, she would want me to honor her.
right.
And the only way that I know
100%.
how to honor her is really working hard and incorporating her teachings in my day-to-day life. So I was like, how can I make my mother even more proud than what she was already?
Right. 100%. Because she's looking down from heaven for
For sure.
sure.
And we'll see her again.
Exactly. Exactly. Man, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
a lot. That's a lot to go through at a young age, at
It
18.
is. It is. But I would tell you this, like my dad was in the military for 20 years and he was really tough on me. And it's like I'm telling a lot of people, like for the longest time, like I felt like I hated my dad. But like now that I have a son, I understand that like why he did it, right? And like I think that my dad was able to know that I was gonna have a pretty difficult life. I don't know if he was able to say it because of my character or what, but like when you're a father, you know what your son needs, right? So he knew what I needed to fuel me. And I don't think that if he would have raised me the way that he raised me, if I would have had the success that I have today.
Yep. Because they play a pivotal role in
Yeah,
in
for
in
sure.
shaping our mindset, our future. Like, everything stems from our childhood. Like, it really
Yeah,
does. Like, whether that's good or bad, whether it's anger and frustration or it's optimism and, driving towards success. Like, it literally all stems from our childhood. And it's not like to put the blame on our parents, but it's once you can grasp that in your paradigm and realize that literally every single aspect of, who we are today stems from our childhood, how we were brought up, how we were raised, how we were talked to, the mannerisms that our parents had, and all of that. It takes growth and maturity and counseling and all of that kind of stuff to realize that. Because a lot of people are like, why am I this way? Why do I have, a short temper, or why am I so focused, or why am I so sporadic and all over the place? And it's just literally, it all stems from our childhood and how we were brought up.
yeah, it does. It
You know,
does.
crazy.
And
So
it
be
it takes a lot of maturity to like understand that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So when did barbering shift from hustle to calling? When do you feel like you were being called to into the barber industry?
Man, So I started cutting hair when I was 13 years old. And the reason that I started cutting hair at 13 years old, like when I got to Jacksonville, there was not a lot of barbershops in the area, or I didn't even know a lot about a lot of barbershops. So I started cutting at 13. My brother was my first client. My toilet was my first chair. Um, and it stopped being a hustle and it became the real thing. Literally, the moment my mother died, because the only way that I knew how to survive was cutting hair. I have never worked a job. I mean, I've worked jobs here like washing cars and stuff growing up, like right throwing trash, but the only real job that I've had was cutting hair. So like literally my mentality shift, and I started like working and cutting hair, and like uh, in a couple of months it was really hard because like I went from here to like Fort Myers, to Fort Myers to Puerto Rico, from Puerto Rico to Fort Bend in Georgia, because my dad was in the military. So like I kept moving around. So it wasn't until I came back to Jacksonville, which is like probably like a year after my mother passing, it was when I was like, you know what, like this is all I got. Like I'm gonna fall back into barbering. I advanced, and the moment that I knew I had something special was when I get a call by the manager at the Art of Shaving, which is a company owned by Procter and Gamble, by Gillette. Um, and I mean, I started traveling. That's when I started getting all expenses paid, vacations, like, and they were being lovely, like with me. So when I started creating this network of like successful entrepreneurs and really important people in the city of Jacksonville, was when I realized that, like, we got something serious here. And then, of course, that kept advancing. And I went from that to owning my own business, from owning one barbershop to having an expo here in Jacksonville, from having an expo to opening a mobile van, from having a mobile van to opening 4 barbershop locations, and so on until we get to where we are at now.
Nice. Jeez.
Yes.
It, so you took that hustle seriously and
Oh,
turned it
it was the
into a
only thing I
calling
had.
real quick.
Yeah. It was the only thing I had.
Yeah. Are you doing the expo still, or you're exiting that and focusing on consulting?
No, I'm doing the expo. I think that right now we're on a rebuild stage. So like, um, what's happening? I don't think that is a secret that Jacksonville is growing. So where I was doing the expo, which is the Prime Osborne Convention Center, they're actually tearing that building down, and because University of Florida is going to open a location for cybersecurity and AI. So like they're going to
Wow.
tear that down. So I just don't see myself reinvesting my time and money back into that if it's not going to be there next year, right? So I'd
Right.
rather take this year as a rebuild year and try to figure out like where are we going to do it? Like, are we going to keep it in Jacksonville? Are we going to move it? Like, I think we're having a lot of success, like consulting and helping people out. There's a lot of barbers that have questions. There's a lot of people that are in business that don't know how to structure their business. So I'm sitting down with a couple of businesses structuring their business. So that is in the plans. Like that is something that we're going to continue to do. How we're going to go about it, I don't know, because right now, like one of the things that happened with me when I was having 4 barbershops, when I was having an expo, when I was having all these things, I started noticing that, man, I was overwhelmed. And
Right.
I met a client of mine's. His name is Eddie Wilson. He's the owner of the Aspirator. He's known by operating over 85 companies, over 100 companies, and exiting over 85 and making $1 billion. So he's like, Fernando, the biggest lie that I heard is that you should only do one thing. It's not bad if you do multiple things. The thing is like it's bad if you don't have a system. So how do you create that system? So that really like humbled me, and I was like, well, what system do we create, and how do we create an ecosystem where everybody is set up for success, right? Because like, why do Chick-fil-A, McDonald's have regional managers? Why do they have district managers? Why do they have nationwide managers? Like all these things, and those are things that us as barbers we don't think.
Right.
So I feel like in order for us to grow, in order for us to be more effective, I feel like we've done great, but we got something big in our hands. And this is not just about doing events. Like we got the whole community behind us, right? Like the community at Jacksonville needs this. Like they want this. They ask for this every single year. It has become part of the culture at Jacksonville. So I don't think it's a problem of us not doing it. I think it's a problem of us restructuring so we can have it and we can have it for years to come.
Right. Yeah. Structure is going to play a huge factor, especially when it comes to, the longevity of the expo, especially being you'd obviously have to find a new venue and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a reason why Jay is in the same venue every single
Yeah.
year, and there's a reason why 10, fifteen
Well,
thousand people show up,
I was
because they
with
know.
Jay. I was with Jay when he was in Hartford, right? And I believe that the reason he moved out of there is because he outgrew that location, right?
Right.
Um, the good thing is that he didn't took a year off. Like the thing with Jacksonville is like is very limited on where you're gonna do an event of this magnitude, right?
Right.
So the the hardest thing with me is like, where can we do it for that has the same space, that has the same um, you know, quality of venue, that can provide the same audio and visual system for the same or similar price. So that's the hardest thing, having all
Right.
those things. Because the reason that I was going to have it there is because I never thought that the Prime Osborne was going. So I was like, we're going to have it here for years to come. But Jacksonville had their other chance. They're also thinking about doing another convention centers, but of course, this is probably going to be 2, 3 years down the road. Like, I mean, if you come to Jacksonville, is a lot of stuff going down. The Jacksonville Jaguars, like, they're building a new stadium. They're having the Four Seasons. If you come to downtown Jacksonville, everything is under construction right now. I mean, is it a bright future? Absolutely.
Right.
But we have to figure out like how long is that going to take? How is that going to look? Like logistic, like transportation, all of these things. Like if people do fly here, so the airport is under construction. So there's so many things that I have to take in consideration, and also budgets that I have to see like how are we going to do it. So we are
Right.
going to do it, but it's like trying to figure it out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's hard to run a successful show. I
Yeah,
mean, I've seen it. I did 52 flights in 2024. Last year, thank God, we scaled back on shows and didn't do as many, didn't have to do as many. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shows just didn't have structure at all.
yeah,
From
yeah,
from promotion to execution, like all lacking. And I'm like, just leave it up to people that are actually going to do it right. I
yeah,
mean, at the end of the day, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. Like,
yeah.
put your all into it or don't do it. So at the end of the day, like, you're doing the right thing, obviously, by taking a year off, creating that structure, so that way you have something that lasts. You
And
know,
the reality too, one thing that I've noticed, and you were just talking about structure. I feel like every time someone goes to, I mean, you said, for example, Jay, like, oh, I could do this. And in reality, no, it's not that easy. Like, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. So I felt like so many shows started popping off, and it's more than just a stage where people competing, right? It's the education, it's the brand. Like, are you actually growing? So, like, I feel that it's so saturated now that a lot of brands are like stepping back. So, like, I have to ask myself too, like, who is our market? Is it completely barbers? Because like one thing that we had a lot of people supporting us from other industries. We have insurance industry, we have real estate industry. So like at one point, I was like, do we stay completely for barbers, or do we go like for do we go for business? Like so, like trying to figure that out is like gonna be really important.
I think something that I don't think has been done, or someone has focused on, is doing like a barber and then nail competition, because it's the same ticket times. It's 30 minutes generally, in and out. So doing some kind of, French nails or whatever, French nail manicure, and freestyle and all of that kind of stuff for nail techs, and then doing barbering over here. And that
Yeah.
way you can get both avenues. You can get sponsors from both avenues, you know, and
Well,
you alternate the actual display for the competitions.
Well, to answer your question, in Puerto Rico, they have a San Juan beauty show. They do a great job at mixing beauty and barbershop. So I agree with you 100%. We have a comment here. Somebody just said, we have Uptown, and he's like, "What's up?" And he was like, "New ambassador, checking with you guys." He's like, "Everybody in a success isn't a successful coordinator," and I agree. Like,
100%.
there's a lot of things that fall through the cracks. There's a lot of things that, um, that are not good. So, because just like you said, you flew 52 shows. Like last year, I went a little bit north of 60, and we went over 100 educational seminars, and that's what gave me a better understanding on what people need, because like there's already a CT, there's already a Premiere, there's already an ABS. How are you going to make the different mark? And I feel like we have too many people wanting to do the same thing. Like, what are you going to bring that is different? So part of our structure is trying to figure out like what exactly are we going to do and how are we going to do it.
Right. Yeah, and how are you going to elevate the industry in a different way than what others are doing, you know?
I think
I,
that the biggest thing with the industry right now is really creating the right structure for barbers. I think that I see a lot of barbers that have not built their their business correctly. So what I mean by that is like they don't think a LLC is important. So by the time that they go do taxes, they have it all messed up, and then they have to pay a lot in taxes. So it's going to take away from reinvesting back into the business. So that's going to fall. And we continue to do this, right? Like we don't know, barbers don't know enough lawyers, they don't know enough CPAs, they don't know enough
mhm.
accountants, they don't know enough, like we don't know. And it's I've been saying this the whole week. Just because you don't know the law, that does not mean that you cannot get charged with something, right? So what I want to say is, just because you don't know that thing is not illegal, that doesn't mean that you won't get charged with that. So like if you don't know that um transferring money to another account is evading taxes, or if you don't know something and it is, that doesn't mean, oh, well, he was ignorant about it, so let's not charge him. No, they're still going to charge you the same way.
Right. 100%. 100%. I just put this on the screen. Pi accounting, Basio's Pi accounting thing. I think that if anybody is, looking for someone to help with their taxes and all of that kind of stuff, definitely reach out
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, there's stuff out there that are good. I think Pi accounting is really, really good for people that because accounting, it could get expensive, right? Like they could charge you a
Hmm.
lot of money. So like, um, Basio has done a great job at um, creating a good team, a good team for a great price. So I think that that's super amazing what he's doing. I have my personal attorney, and I have a tax attorney. So like, I was a little bit different because I had to set up C corps and S corps and stuff. So like
Hmm.
that's a little bit more detailed. So that's why I have a specific attorney.
Right.
And I started writing a lot of contracts. Whenever you start going to these expos, like I started doing expos and I wasn't even writing contracts with the vendors. Like I started noticing you need agreements, you need contracts, because so you could protect them and you could protect yourself. So
Right.
all of these things are very, very, very important.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, most people aren't even educated on because they one don't teach it in school, formal education. Then they don't teach it in barber college or anything like that either, for the most part, from what I know, and it's not until you get burned or know someone that gets burned until you realize like, you better have all your ducks in a row, like everything,
How
you know.
come how come there is no financial literacy class on a barber curriculum? Like I was like, we're setting up these people for failure. Like the problems that I see on the barber community is not because barbers don't have talent. It's because they don't know business. Even though you are hired and you're paying rent, you're not an employee. You are your own business owner, essentially. You're renting that 10 by 10 space that you're paying for. So like I have I'll give you an example. Now we're doing consulting. I have somebody that I'm consulting now, and they're like, well, if I make my money, um, I shouldn't deposit it on my business account. I should deposit it on my personal. Why? You're making that money on your business.
Right.
Why won't you deposit it on your business and pay yourself and be an employee of that company and take the liability off of you?
Right.
Right? Like another thing, I see a lot of barbers, they don't have liability insurance. Guess what? Even though that barbershop owner has a liability insurance, that is not covering you because it does not have your name on it. Right? And we can go so much deeper into this. Like, right? So like I just got tired of the rat race. And like I see a lot of barbers, they got the Travis Scotts, they got the Louis, they got all these things, but they really have nothing to show for, so
Right.
that's the hard part. So like how do we like elevate the industry? And I think that this is the best way. So I think that that's exactly what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm moving. We got a couple of comments here. I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to read them.
Yeah. Um, Ariana says, Fernando, God bless you and your family and more each day. You are a source of pride and an inspiration role model for all young people. And then
Well,
got
those are really kind words.
Uptown says they feel like they are teaching you the basics. What are you going to succeed in your barber career? But if I'm paying this barber school 28,000, it needs to be some type of business literacy curriculum in the barber school.
A
100%.
100%. A
100%.
hundred percent. I've said
Yeah.
this and I've been hated on this, but look, me building the school, the online school that I'm about to build, and me building all the things, because what I started noticing is I put I guess it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So it's like I open all these barbershops, but am I setting up my barbers for success? If I'm just putting my barbers to pay me $200, am I giving the right knowledge and the right information? So I was with my mentor today and we were writing like, what is your purpose? Like, what are you gonna teach people? And I never thought about it. I was like, well, my purpose is this, but no, do you have a clear understanding on what your purpose is? And I literally wrote this down. My purpose and what I'm gonna do is I help young men and women identify characters flaws that hinders their spiritual, mental, um, emotional, and financial stability. That's my purpose. That's my purpose. And the reason that I realized that is like, who was I when I started cutting hair? I was a kid that I had flaws because I was not mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially correct. Because I was broken. Because I didn't understand my value. I had identified myself with what I did, and I did not understand that I was a God. I was a son of Jesus Christ that had already paid the price for me.
Right.
So it's like a lot of us want to do a lot of things, but we don't have a clear understanding on how we're going to do it. We really don't have our purpose. And what you have to ask yourself, once you know your purpose, can you do that every single day for the rest of your life without getting paid? And if you can, that's your purpose, right?
100%.
However, when you do your purpose, you will get paid for that because like it's inevitable, right?
Right.
But we have to identify what our purpose is. So I think that I have identified that. Will I open more barbershops? Will I open a lot more stuff? Of course, because I've already done it. Like this is not a problem of this is just a journey. Like how can I go higher? So like I have a lot of ideas. I don't want to put them all out here because like I'm rebuilding and doing a lot of stuff, but life is about journeys. Life is about decisions and life is about learning experiences. So that's what we go to. But yeah, like my goal is now to like teach financial literacy. How can you charge 15, 10, 20, $28,000, but you don't even show me that when I'm going to open up a barbershop there's going to be a financial statement or financials that I have to fill out. Like I didn't even know that when I opened my business. I didn't know what a liability, I didn't know what an asset was when I opened. Like how can we're not teaching this in barber school?
No, and that's what's crazy is because, and it's really crazy to me because when they exit barber school, most barbers are making more than what a person that goes to a 4-year
Barbers
degree
lie.
school. They
Barbers
they
lie.
make more. I mean, and it's just baffling to me that they have all of this money and then they blow it. They don't have anything. And then they wonder why they're stuck behind the chair for 10 years. And then they finally realize, they don't go to shows, most of them. You know, the barber industry is massive. Like, I mean, I know that it's massive because all of our orders for Boppr are literally barbers. And I can guarantee you this, probably 70% of them haven't been to an educational seminar at a show. I mean, you see these shows too. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
because all they
3,000
want to
people
do is go to parties.
and then
Yeah.
there's 50 people in education, and I'm in the education room as a vendor trying to grab nuggets to apply to my business because they're an educator for a brand that's worth more than us. So clearly that brand has put enough faith into that person that's speaking up in front of even 100 people that they're going to drop that gem and I can implement it in my business.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
which we did. Like I've learned a lot, whether that be, you, Tank Be Choppin', Prince, freaking Marv, Ivan Zoot, like Jay, Jackie, everybody. Like I've sat in their seminars and just listened because
Ivan
I
Zoot
can
is one of the
absorb
best
that
educators I know. Ivan
100,
Zoot is by far one of the best
100%.
educators I know.
And he gets the first class slot most of the time. And then there's like
And he's there
30
before
people
you.
there.
And
A
he's
hundred
there before
percent.
you.
100%. If you're there before him, like that's a fluke.
You deserve an award.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. But the there was three of us that were always there first. And it was me, Habib, and Ivan Zoot.
Habibi, my guy. I love Habibi. I'm gonna tell you, yeah. Though I think that's a. Let me tell you this. There's not a lot of people that could outgrind me. But if there was some guys, it would be definitely those three names that you've mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. The equal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
equal. We would just keep going. Like
yeah.
that's it. So,
I want to touch a little bit on what you were saying. Like a lot of barbers, they want to get paid like doctors and attorneys do, but they're not doing the continuous education. And like, think about it, like there's so many things coming out in barbering now, like different hairstyles, different color pigmentations. Like some of these products are going to give you allergies, like understanding the skin, understanding the hair that you're working on, SMP, all of these things. Like I paid for a course to do SMP. I haven't even done one head of SMP, but I still practice from time to time. And you know, but the reason that I'm doing it is because if I it's like a plant. The moment a plant stops growing is the moment that it's dead. And I don't want to stop growing. I want to continue to grow. So like I think it's like what do we do to be more what what can I do to be more effective in those areas?
right. 100%. 100%. All right, let's find another more difficult question.
Hey, give me some because you don't make it easy.
Okay. Do you see the barber chair as a business, a ministry, or both? And how have you utilized it?
So let me tell you this, bro. I was raised in church.
Same.
When my mother died, now I'm telling you, like I was raised in church. Like when my mom dies, I started creating so many bad habits. Like I was in my darkest time. So when 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 I started cutting hair, it was a business because I hustled. Now, my dad used to tell me, son, what you don't know is that I've prayed for you to have grace. And I've seen the grace of God over me this year. I mean, there was a there has been so many things that has happened to me. Like I just got my first client, like my surf billionaire client this year that has invested in me in amounts that I wouldn't even imagine. I have another doctor that is working with me now. And what I'm trying to tell you is like it changed my mentality because I kept telling a football friend of mine is like, oh, I want to have a ministry. I want to have a ministry, not knowing that my ministry was right in my chair. So like what these mentors that I've had that by the grace of God they has poured into me, it made me realize like this is not only a business. No, God gave me this as a talent for me to make enough money to be comfortable, but he gave it to me to fulfill his word, like to to bring people to him. So
Right.
it's like this is both. This is both. Like because as a barber, you're with people at their worst times and at their best times.
Yep.
And what are you gonna do? And I feel like a lot of us get so focused on the $100. Like, I'm gonna tell you this. I agree that barbers should charge money. I agree that barbers should charge as much as they want. However, if that takes away from your purpose, then you're doing the wrong thing.
Right.
Right? So like the moment that I started seeing how God blessed me in other places, like who am I to charge somebody that cannot afford me that amount of money when I could probably change their life? Like I was that kid at 1.2, and I have the chance to have a ministry to help that kid. And because I'm so focused on $80 or $100, I'm not going to help this kid, but God has given it to me multiplied. And that's why
Right.
whenever the government shutdown came on, that's why when Christmas happened, people were telling me, "Oh, you're crazy. Like, how will you go?" I remember on Christmas Eve, I was giving like every kid $25 haircuts. And people like, what? It was like, yeah, because I understand that money, money doesn't rule me.
Right. God does.
God, God does. So I understand who my provider is. So like I understand who my main source is. Picture it like this. Let's say you have a power a main panel in a house, right? An energy panel or whatever you call it, a main panel, right? Let's say you have this outlet. Now, you go in this outlet and you try to plug on something that is more powerful. Let's say on a one on you put a 220 on a 120 volt. It's not gonna power properly. It's gonna fall.
Right.
Like the breaker is not big enough. Um, and that's what we do in life. We start putting our plug in all these resources, which it represents these outlets. And whenever it doesn't work, we keep plugging on different outlets, thinking that it's the outlet. It's not the outlet. It's the main panel, the breaker that matters. So picture it like this: if your main purpose, if your main resource, which is Jesus Christ, is not right in your life, all these other resources are not going to work.
No,
And that's
100%.
what I understand. Money is a resource. Car is a resource. House is a resource. Are they important? They are to live. But if the main resource, which is God, is not right in your life, all of those other resources are not going to matter.
Right.
So, like, I understood that it's not about how much I charge, it's really about how much value I bring into a person's life. And that's how I'm gonna live. And I'm a living testimony of it, bro. Like I should have been in the streets. I should have been everything that people say I should have been, but somehow I'm not. And the moment that I had a son, and I realized how much God loves me, is the moment that I started viewing life differently. And I started living to my purpose, and I stopped overcharging people. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not going to charge money. That's not what I'm
Right.
saying. But what I'm saying is that I'm always listening to what God is telling me. If this person needs it, I am not going to prevent this person from getting. I'm not going to be the reason this person doesn't get to Jesus Christ. Like I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be the person
Right.
that this person. I'm not going to be the reason this person doesn't get blessed.
Right.
So um at the end of the day, I my definition of success changed. Like I picture successful was having a lot of money. I've made a lot of money, more than I can even imagine. But success is not that. Success is like, can you have joy with the money that you make with your family? Like, because notice how I said joy and not happiness, because happiness comes from the happenings in your life. So that means if something that happens in your life is not good, you're not going to be happy. No, you're going to have joy throughout every season in your life. And that's when I realized that it says in the word that in the world there will be affliction, but you should not fear because God has already, um, you know, defeated or has already taken on all those things that you are facing. It never said it was going to be easy, but he
Right.
says all things will be possible, right? It
Mm-hmm.
said that we were going to go through the valley. We weren't going to stay in the valley. So I
100%.
understand that through every season that I go, that situation is not my resource. It's not my main source. It's just a situation that God has taken me through to see something greater on the other side. So once you have that understanding, you realize that your chair is both, and you start respecting it as so.
Yeah, because there's always a test before a promotion, and
Yeah,
your test is a part of your testimony. And
for
your
sure.
your testimony is what you get to share in that chair, and that can win their soul to Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. I mean, the whole you know way that this whole entire Bop with a Purpose podcast came about was the Bible study that I was in like about a year ago was all about purpose. And it was the first Bible study of the session. And I was like, Bop with a Purpose podcast. And I sent it to my partner, Matt. And Matt mocked up something literally within a couple hours and sent it over to me, which is the logo that we see up here. Um, and I was like, man, we got to get this going, because I knew that my calling on my life, which I've been told that two altar callings was to do ministry through business, and they weren't to be separated, they're together. And I got told that by Pastor Evelyn in Roscoe, Illinois, and then by a random prayer warrior at an altar at Impact Church, which is my home church here in Arizona. So it's wild to know that I know that I'm in the right place. I know that I'm doing the right thing by utilizing our platform. I mean, we have over 30,000 users now in 2026, which is a blessing to even say that we can broadcast this now. And yeah, not everyone's able to tune into the live, but we send this out to push notifications, emails, text message blasts, like everything afterwards. And the viewership is crazy. And to even win one soul is a win. If we
Yeah.
can impact
Yeah.
one person through this, like that's literally all that matters, in our life is to win souls to God. And the money will come. Like we already know it comes miraculously and abundantly, thank God, just by doing the right thing, and as long as you don't focus on the money and you focus on purpose, like you said, like everything else follows. So like you just keep Christ at the center of your life. That's it. That's it.
I think that the biggest thing is like it's not about the numbers, because like if you see all the people that, we're going to talk about barbers, like if you see all the Victorinos and all the Boris, and if you see all the um 360 Jeezy, all these names, at one point they had only 5 viewers, 2 viewers too, until they made it to 1 million. So it's like a lot of people want to, a lot of people see the glory, but they don't see the story. So like to
Right.
me, I never like that's one thing that I never focused on. I didn't focus about the numbers. I focused about how much value I could bring. When I started my barbershop, I only had 2 barbers start with me. And then in 1 month, I had 8. And then in 1 year, I had 13. And I grew that to 4 barbershops. Like, but if I would have been concerned about, oh, I'm only have 2 barbers, like my dad was like, my dad used to say this thing, you think God is going to give you the dream and he's not going to give you the people to be in it? So
Right.
like, like sometimes we think about how big our problems are, and what we should tell our problem is how big our God is.
Right.
Right. So like I never get concerned, because one thing that I'm for sure is that, like, this platform is going to be a platform where even bigger names and bigger people are going to be in, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people and viewers, right? But it's just you can never get focused on that. You have to trust the process and understand that you have a good product,
100%.
and you do.
100%. Well, yeah. And I mean, I know that we're in the right industry. Like I fell in love with this industry literally right away. Um, Long story short, someone in my hometown had a competitor's QR code on the back of their trailer. Um, and they're not really a competitor, but indirectly competitor. and I scanned it. He got me in contact with Jay. I never knew barber industry was even a thing. I never knew expos were a thing. The first person inside the entire industry I spoke to was Jay Majors. My wife was graduating that year. Long
That's
story
a good
short,
person to know for you to
I
get.
know, right? So I couldn't even go to his show though because my wife was graduating and I wasn't going to miss her graduation for an expo. So I went to Tune down in Denver. That was my first show. First thing that someone says up on stage is, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I was like, my ears, like straight from the booth, were like, what? And then fast forward at CT, and I'm just like, dude, I mean, every single person during education is, thanking God, putting God first, da da da. Like Hawk Vision was up during Babyless, which Babyless is one of the biggest clipper brands, and he's up there with a PowerPoint at the biggest expo inside the entire world, and it's all scripture. And I was like, got it, God. I know. I get it. I'm not going to another industry. I'm not going to realtors. We're not doing all that. Like, we're focused on the industry of barbers. That's it. And, we've been networking with the entire industry since, 2021. So going on 5 years now, which is crazy to even say. And now the amount of people that, because of all those shows that I went to, the amount of people that we've made connections with, that we've networked with, it's only by the grace of God that I've even been welcomed into this industry,
Yeah,
realistically. I mean, because we aren't even like, we weren't barber focused at all, but we got put into the right rooms with the right place with the right people, and it was just one after another. I mean, it's crazy, like the telephone game that went on throughout the past 5 years of us just getting connected with everybody, and then you realize everyone has God at the center that
yeah,
is successful inside of this industry. I mean, everyone, whether it's Danny Amorium, whether it's Tank B Choppin, Prince, you, everybody. Jackie Star, number one, Bible and worship song, day one. Like, literally, that's how she starts her morning.
hmm,
Like, so to see that and to know that we have to do this. This is our duty, as a brand, as a company, and as an individual. This is our duty, is to do this. Have conversations with people to show God's grace, God's good works. We've all went through trials and tribulations, and now we're here. It's amazing
yeah, yeah. It is. It is. God is good.
all the time.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you discern between a God opportunity and a distraction?
Well, the thing is, like, that you have to be very careful with, right? Because we have to deny the flesh every single day. Um, I didn't understand this until you just have to be connected to God, and the only way that you could do that is through fasting, prayer, um, and reading the word, right? Because um the devil came to like, kill, and destroy. So like once you're on that word, you'll understand what is from God and what is not. Um, but for example, I'll tell you this, like this year I was like, God, I'm done doing a lot of stuff that takes me away from you. I'm just gonna be on this word. And slowly, like God has put people in my life that it wasn't only money driven, right? Like whenever um things are kind of like too easy, but don't look too good, like, right, like if it's gonna take you away from his purpose, like don't even entertain it,
Right.
right? But it's one of those things you just have to be under on the word to understand it. And for example, I'll tell you one of these things, like um I was talking about my purpose today, and my mentor said, anything that you do from now on, you're going to put it with your purpose. And if there's any gray area there, do not do it. So, like, my
Yep.
purpose is to empower people mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. Everything that I do from now on, if it drives you away, even though I'm meaning good, Even though I might mean good, if it drives you away from the purpose, don't do it. So that's how I know. I mean, and to be honest, like one thing that I told y'all, like my dad always prayed about grace, and I called my dad yes, and I was like, you must have prayed real hard on that prayer because I seen God's grace. Like, so like, I just spend time on prayer. Like, right, I learned to be patient. I was a very impatient kid. So before I'm gonna take any decision, before I'm gonna do anything, I pray, talk to my family, and if it's still there, I'll take it, if it makes sense. But if it's just money, the thing that is going to drive me, I don't do it anymore. It has to
Right.
be bigger than that because once you do things only for money, it's almost like you're selling your soul. Like there's nothing else other than that. Again, money's a resource. So I understand that I need it, but I understand what controls that money. And nothing in this earth moves if God doesn't allow it to move. So that's how I know. Really, I just stay on the word. I understand it. And if it's right for me, it'll be there. And if not, it won't.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, and that's the same way that I do it. I mean, I pray, number 1, dive into a little bit of word, and then I obviously I listen to my wife now.
Yeah.
That's the number 1 most in not number 1 most important. Number 1 most important, obviously God, but talking with her and getting her discernment because she has the gift of discernment.
Yeah.
Man, the amount of trials that I could have avoided had I listened. We'll just say small one, kind of, was a 8.5 month lawsuit against someone who was supposed to do an Amazon automation store for me. That was 40 grand. And had I listened to her, I would have
Yeah.
never been in that situation at all.
There's
By
a
the
reason
grace
why
of
she's your wife.
exactly. And by the grace of God, everything got settled and I got my money back and paid off my mom's house and retired her. But it took that trial to learn patience all over again because I
You
learned
have
it
kids?
years back. No,
You have
I
kids?
don't.
Have a
Nope.
kid, you'll learn patience real quick.
I got little nieces and nephews, and that's enough
Nah,
to
man, let me
know.
tell you, the biggest thing, and I'm probably gonna get a little bit vulnerable. I don't cry about a lot of things, but if there's one human that I love in this world more than anything is my son. And the moment that I had my son, I was a very aggressive person when I was growing up. I was always fighting, I was always arguing, and I was never patient about anything. And the moment I had my kid was when I realized what the true love means. A lot of us don't know what love is. Love is even when you don't feel right, you choose that person.
Hmm.
My son does not always do things right. He's a kid. But no matter what he do, he can never he can't do anything for me to stop loving him. So the moment that I had him, I thought that I was going to teach him. I thought that I was going to do all these things and he taught me. And what I said to myself is like, I love my son, but I would never give up my son for anyone. So that made me understand that, but God did it for me.
Right.
So every single time I do something, I'm patient with him because I understand that how God is with me.
Hmm.
Sometimes my son wants things that he cannot have. The other day, my son wanted a pair of scissors. He was crying. I'm not going to give it to him. Now, if my son cries harder, am I going to give it to him? No, because I know that if he uses that scissor, it's going to cause him more pain than the pain he's going through when he's crying.
Right.
Sometimes God is like that with us. And we cry and cry, God, why you're not giving us? And that's because he sees something bigger than what we see. It says in the Bible that the wise woman will build her house. And it also says that God's thoughts are bigger than our thoughts. So what I'm trying to say with this is like God puts certain things and certain people in our life that are meant to be like angels in our life. And I truly believe that. And sometimes we don't understand it. So with the moment that I had my son, I understood what that meant. I understood how why it's important being patient, because we were talking about earlier today that is all built from when you're a child. If I react to everything that happens around me, my son is going to take that same thing. And you see that problem in life right now. That's why there are so many
Hmm.
people with they have problems with self-identity. They have problems with people, like they're not educated and they haven't been taught how to have patience. So what they're going to do is that they're automatically going to use force or start fighting. So like these are people that clearly haven't been taught or haven't even been loved properly. So
Right.
um when I had my son, I learned all these things and I learned all these values, and they're very important values.
100%. And that unconditional love is the number one most important. Just, I mean, God loved us enough to send his one and only son,
Yeah.
and it's like that's the utmost unconditional love.
Mhm.
And we can't show that. We can't give that to our family, our loved ones, our sons, our daughters, our wives. There's a
And we'll
lot
never
of,
be able to.
yeah,
We'll
and
never be able to,
and
because it's the flesh is weak, and the
right,
only way that we could combat the flesh is on the word. But if you're
right,
not on the word, you will never figure it out. And that's what I tell a lot of people. I see a lot of barbers. They go out here, they go to expos, they put a lot of things to be better, but they don't put the same time to read the word, to read the scripture. We have a manual, but we
right,
decide to not follow it. So the moment that I realized it is like, okay, if I wake up at 8, now I'm gonna wake up at 7, and the first thing that I put in my system is something good, because we see so many bad stuff throughout the whole day. Like, do you really?
right,
We have 7 days in a week, and you really mean to tell me that the 7 days you consume bad stuff, and with one day that thing is gone? Sunday is not enough.
right. No,
Sunday is
not at
not enough.
all. No, it needs to be a daily thing. Like, I mean, every single day I still own a detailing business and I still drive to my clients and all that. And I have an employee that sits next to me 3 days out of the week, and he goes to church too. And I think I think that's why I keep him, to be honest with you. And he's a really good person and good detailer. But every morning is worship music. That's my
Mhm.
routine. And the moment he hopped in the truck, I didn't even know he was a Christian. I didn't know anything about him at all. And I played worship music. And like, he said that he goes to this church and da da da. And I'm like, see, we're already off to the right start. Like, and every morning for the past like 2.5 years now, I don't listen to rap to get motivated. I don't listen to any of that. I stopped listening to secular music over a year ago from a Bible study because someone said that they were doing it, and I dropped it because I grew up going to a Christian music festival in Wisconsin called Life Fest, which now has like 40,000 people at it. And I grew up, I didn't know secular music at all until I was 19 and I moved out. I had no idea
And
what.
and and you were just talking about discernment. How do you know if it drives you away from God? You know it's not good.
Hmm. Yep, 100%. And most of that music does. I mean,
If
that's
it
just the
drives you away
reality.
from your purpose, it's not good. So if it's
Yep.
in any gray area, it's not good. I
Yep.
was I was let me tell you this, when my mom um when my mother died, I always believed that liquor wasn't bad, getting drunk, and I still believe it, right? I don't think that drinking is bad. I think that getting drunk is bad, but there's a gray
Right.
area there. There's a gray area, and it's tricky because the devil comes to you, and and he's gonna tell you that this is good, and then so like I hated the taste of of alcohol. When my mom dies, I fell in love with whiskey, and whiskey was my best friend. And my brother can tell you, like I used to drink like moonshine, like heavy stuff, like pure. And it got to a point that I loved it. I liked the burn. I liked what it did. It gave me this power. And the reason that I don't drink anymore is not because I think it's bad. It's because like there's a great area and you have to be very careful. And
Right.
I just never heard anyone tell me my life is so much better because I drink.
Yeah.
I just
No.
haven't heard it. I've never heard it. I mean, I
Nope.
drink wine here and there, like what in a in a in a dinner or something, but I have never heard anyone tell me my life is so much better because I drink.
Yep.
It's quite the opposite. So ever since I have that, if I do have a drink, I'm very careful, and it just the perception from it could be wrong. So that's why I'm very careful with that right now.
100%. Yeah, alcoholism runs in my family like super bad. So I never drank at all until I think I was over I was definitely over 18. And the first time that I actually got drunk was in Jamaica. And it wasn't on purpose. And it was on Mother's Day. And I took a shot and I ended up like giggling and everything. And I got told that I was drunk. And I was like, this is awful. Like, I don't like this feeling at all because I'm not normal. I can feel that I'm not normal. So I laid down. I was like, that's awful. Like, I don't ever want to do that again. Um, but I never liked it, you
You get
know?
used
And
to
to this,
it.
to, yeah, to this day, it's like I'll drink socially like one, maybe two, and that's it. I don't get tipsy or anything. It's just, I like the taste of a Jaeger and a Red Bull, you know? It tastes good to me. I don't know why. Tastes good. I don't get trashed, you know, on purpose, on accident, maybe. Because in Wisconsin, they don't pour like they do in Scottsdale, where they pour this much here and they pour like that much there. And yeah, you don't notice when it's mixed, but
Yeah.
it, it drives you and alters your mind. And it's like the Bible says, you know, don't be a drunkard. Okay, I don't want to be like that. My family was like that. Most of them have recovered completely by the grace of God, and a lot of them have, you know, driven towards God now, which is so amazing to see. People that, you know, in my family that I was like, man, they have no relationship with God at all. Like, I've never not had a relationship with God, so I don't know what that would ever feel like. Um, and I think that that generational curse, I know that that generational curse got broken by me because of my parents, because my parents like instilled that in me, you know, and they weren't drunks. They
Well,
barely ever drank.
I'll tell you this. It's when when you have the Holy Spirit, sin feels bad because you have that
Right.
conviction. Now, when you should really be careful is when you don't have that conviction because sin is over you. Sin and the presence of God doesn't feel good. And I'll give you an example. Like whenever we're growing up, right? Let's say a teenager or something, like they want to start being intimately with their girl or stuff. Like, what's our first reaction? Like, oh my God, like, am I gonna get caught? But eventually you keep doing it and you keep doing it until you get to the point that fornication, oh, it's not bad. It's not bad, right? Like we got used to that sin.
Right.
We got used to, but just because you got used to does not mean that it's not a sin. So um that's why you got to stay on that word and you got to have that discernment.
Hmm.
So you just got used to that. So like I understood me going to these expos and stuff. I was one of those. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I did like drinking and I enjoyed it, but I could see how it destroyed my family.
Right.
Um, and you know, I'm very careful with how I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my number one rule is if my wife's not there, I'm not drinking. Period.
Yeah,
Like, if it's, you know, I'm at my family gathering, whatever, but no one drinks anymore. But like, if my wife's not there, I'm good. I'm not drinking. And I've never done anything that would ever like hinder that in any of my relationships at all. But I see what happens with others and I learned from other people's mistakes. And I've been like that since I was like 12, 13 years old. You know, I've just noticed what other people do and their mistakes and everything that they go through. And I'm like, oh, I ain't doing that. You know, just like, you know, the kids that blew all of their money when they were 16 years old, they got their first job and they're blowing money. And I'm like, you make 7.25 an hour, you're spending 3.50 on a McChicken and fries, bro. It don't make sense. Like, you're gonna have no
yeah,
money. I didn't
Yeah,
do that because I didn't want to be broke, you
yeah,
know? And then people wonder why or how that some people are where they're at now and why they're still in the bar or still doing this and not being able to travel, not being, not doing anything with their life. And it's because they didn't have that discernment, you know, to go, that's bad.
for sure.
That's not right, you know? And I would like to touch on that fornication because I feel like I'm being told to. Um, that soul tie that's created in that fornication prior to marriage is so detrimental to your future marriage.
That's the
And
worst.
if you don't break those soul ties prior to marriage, it's gonna suck for a little while before you learn how to break those soul ties. So like I always advise people like if you're not married yet, like you can kiss, but that's it. Like don't
Yeah,
don't cross that line because once you do, those soul ties are real. That spiritual warfare is very, very, very real. And I don't think it's not talked about. Most churches shy away from it. They're scared to talk about it. I love that our pastor at Impact Church, Travis Hearn, like he's not shy to talk about anything. Like this whole series that we're on right now because it's February is all on love and relationships and like he's blatantly talking about sex and soul ties. And it's like you have to understand that and like you need to teach your kids that because
yeah,
they don't understand. Like I was taught abstinence and I was taught it's bad to have sex before marriage, but I wasn't taught like the spiritual bondage that you're in because you're doing it is worse than anything when later on in life. So do you want to go through that or not? Like,
yeah. We can, we can. I mean, that's hard, bro, because I was just talking about this to someone like that. That's how I grew up. Like being a woman's man, and it caused me so much problem in my marriage, bro, because I was like, it was like almost like once you live that life of fornication and stuff, like you don't you tell yourself you're not happy, but in reality, like when you are single and you're doing all these things, like you might feel that void there, but then like you're completely empty once that person is gone. So it's like the enemy tries to lie and tell you all these things that is just not true. So man, that's just a touchy subject. And again, if it drives you away from God,
yep,
um, and I mean, the Bible gives you stories of everything, right? It gives you stories of everything. Like he gives you the stories of drunks. He gives you stories of fornication. Now, God might have still grace over you because God is a forgiving God, but also understand that the moment that God says, "Hey, like you know, I'm not in this anymore," like you can't even get mad because you chose that decision. Like you chose that. So yeah, like that's man. We need to almost make it like a Bible study about this, bro, because is a very touchy subject when it comes to that.
it definitely is. And I mean, God gives us free will, but it doesn't mean that we should utilize that free will. Like just operate in the spirit as much as possible. Obviously, we all sin and fall short. We always will. No one's perfect. And anybody who says that they are, any church that says that they are, any pastor that says that they run for the hills because it's not a good
Yeah,
church. Like we are all sinners and we all fall short.
but
But
I,
it's our
I
duty to go, hey, we've done this, so let's not have you go through the same thing.
I posted about this. Let me read about this because I posted about this a couple of days ago. And I think it's this one. Humbly see. So he's like, there. These are the ones I look with favor. Those who are humbled and no, this is not it. This is not it. Tremble my word. No, this is not it. I think it's this one right here. Okay, the Lord is near. All right, so it says the Lord is near to all of those who call upon Him. To all those who call upon Him in truth. So what I want to tell you is like God gives you free will. God is a gentleman. he'd be there. Like he will be there, but he will only be there if you're truthful. Like, and the only way that you can call him and then he could be there for you is literally seeking him every single day. Like I was talking about him, like we need to seek him because like he's there, but at the same time, we need to let him in. Like we cannot pretend that like every single time we do something bad, God is gonna come and forgive us. Like sometimes He's gonna let you fall, and He'll
Right.
come and forgives you because like He died for all of our sins. But at the same time, we have to understand that He also gave us a free will, and if we push Him away, that's us pushing Him away. He's always right there waiting on us. So the only way that we can combat these things is really staying on that word, like really like fasting, really seeking him every day, really reading that Bible. And it's like the more that we do all these things, the better that we will be combating like those other um sins. Like we would never be able to sin, but the problem is like when you make love to sin. And what I'm
Right.
saying is like when you're good with sin, when sin doesn't bother you, that's when you're in deep trouble.
Right. 100%. When you don't have that conviction, when
Yeah.
you know that
Oh,
what you're doing
dangerous.
is wrong, then it's like you better figure it out. Otherwise,
Yeah.
this valley is gonna be deeper than
Yeah.
you're gonna want to be able to get out of.
Yeah.
Like it ain't
Yeah.
gonna be fun at all.
You're in a yeah, you're in a dangerous spot. That's for sure.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And those aren't fun. I mean, they're fun to be out of, because then you have a story to tell, a
Yeah.
testimony to tell, and to be in, you know. So I'll share a brief little testimony of mine. Now that it's past the 7 years mark, so now I can actually share it. I had a medical marijuana delivery service, and at that time, I had I believed in God, but I didn't have a relationship with God anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to church. I wasn't doing anything like that. I've never smoked ever in my life, but I saw it as a way to make money. I thought that everything was legal because it was medical. We got everything tested, the whole 9 yards. We verified every patient that we had. And that thank you from the people that we were giving the meds to, and them being like, we're not on, Percocet or whatever, controlled substance anymore because of our medication that we were
Mhm.
giving them. That was an amazing feeling. And I thought that, I was in a good place and all of that until the Phoenix Drug Enforcement Bureau came to my door and knocked on it and pounded. And I opened it and they grabbed my arm like a child, and I uncontrollably wet
Yeah.
myself. And I will say that publicly and not care. And it was at that moment I sat down inside of that truck and watched them raid my place. And I mean, we had caregivers cards. We thought everything was fine, honestly. Um, I got taken downtown and I sat in the jail cell and I said, it's a setup for a step up. Okay, God, I got it. You have my attention. It's a setup for a step up. I surrender it all to you. It's a setup for a step up. And from that moment forward, it was like crystal clear. Like, I need to be back into church. I need to listen to him. I need to pray. I need to, be how I was for 18 and a half years of my life and just focus my eyes solely on him. And that
Sometimes
was
that's what it takes.
Yep.
But we were talking about structure. Obviously, you didn't do the right structure, the right research, like, and it goes back to what we were saying, like, just because you don't know, just because you're ignorant to the law, does not mean that they're not gonna
Right.
charge you or like, then oh, I didn't know. Oh, that's on you. Like, unfortunately, you still got to pay for this. So now that I am older and I'm 30 now, um, yeah, you get to be more patient and understand that like not all money is good money,
Hmm.
um, and you could get to be a little bit more patient. So I'm not glad that you went through that, but I'm glad that you did learn that lesson.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 100% glad. I mean, thankfully, through another provider. I was given who was screwing off and doing like horrible stuff that I found out, and he was no longer a provider. That was our first meeting ever. And he said, if you ever get into any trouble, here's an amazing lawyer. And it was a Hells Angels lawyer. His name is Richard Gaxiola. And he filed for all of my stuff. They took my car and all of this nonsense. But he filed for everything. And he said, I don't even understand why they were at your door. You're a peasant. And I like looked at him and I was like, I mean, we were doing like, yeah, we were doing a lot. We'll just put it that way. We'll put it that way. We were doing a lot. And he said, you're a peasant. And I was like, wow, okay. And he said, you looking at 5 to 8 years if you weren't sitting here. And I was like, this is God's grace. I never went to court. Not once. He filed the paperwork. Boom, gone. Everything was gone. And I was just like, but it's because of his name and his reputation, and God's grace that, I didn't have to serve anything. I was in there for 6 hours, and that was long enough for this white boy. Like, I'm sorry, not a place for me at all.
I only went there once, and I don't. I mean, I wasn't when I went, and I'll give you a story, and I think this is like a testimony too. Like, I was previously married, and it was a bad breakup. It was a bad breakup because I mean, I wasn't. We didn't have God in our marriage. Like, it was really bad. Like, she wasn't a bad person, but it was just how it played out. And then she was starting to date her new person that she's with now, and we started arguing, and bro, like, an argument turned into like police getting called, and they didn't even ask. They just took me.
Mm-hmm.
Took me,
Yep.
and I was not scared because I was like, man, like, what I was upset about is like when I call my dad, like, this is gonna be a long conversation because my dad did tell me to leave that house. And what that taught me is like, the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing. So the right thing was probably talking about it, but it was the wrong time.
Right.
And that it escalated to a argument, and then I was not charged with anything because I didn't do anything, but it was just like, bro, like, why did I even have to go through that? But like, I was like, man, like, I am not cut for this. Like, my freedom, like, I was sleeping on that damn bed, like it cold, it was flat. I was like, man, my life is too like my king size, memory
Right.
foam, bed. Like, I'm good. Hey, every single time someone tries to argue with me, like, I'm out. I'm good. Like, I don't need this. Like,
Yep.
so I totally understand, man. Like, it's not really like scared. It's just like, man, I got used to my lifestyle, and it's like, bro, being in there they're telling you when to eat, what to eat. They're treating you like crap. I was like, man, I'm good.
Peanut butter and jelly and an apple, bro. No, I'm good. I need my
Man, I
filet
remember
mignon.
I think I think for lunch they gave me like pasta with some ground beef, but like this ground beef looked gray because it didn't have no seasoning. And like the pasta was like no sauce, no nothing. It was like straight up like just pasta with nothing. I was like, oh my Lord. I did not eat while I was there. When I came out of there, like man, I ate like 5 plates of food because my mom was like, yo, like you didn't. I was like, 24 hours is all it took for me to realize that I do not want to be anywhere near this place.
Yeah, I think I was like 6 or 8 hours, and they gave peanut butter peanut butter sandwich, no jelly, so that's dry, and then an apple.
Jesus.
And I was like, and then you had to get water from over the toilet. I was like, yo, I'm good on this. Like, that's not, no, here, you can have my peanut butter. If you want to give me your apple, great. If not, here you go. And he gave me his apple. And I ate 2 apples and that was it. And I'm like, dude, like, I can't. I can't.
Yeah, nigga.
When that lawyer said it's 8 grand, I said, where do I pay? Cash or card? Like, can I get the points or not? Like, that's it. Cause I'm not cut out for cement. Nope.
Yeah.
And then when you're talking with people in there, And I'm just like, yo, I was just trying to help people. Like that thank you meant more to me than the money. Like the money was great, obviously, but that thank you and changing people's like life and not having them be on drugs and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know everyone's viewpoint. I view it as God's medicine if you're using it for medicine and not just to get blitzed. But that thank you meant a lot. So that's what I was doing. And then everyone else in there is, beating someone up, stealing, it's like none of it was
Man,
like,
I
it was like,
remember
you
when I
deserve to be here. Why am I
yeah,
here?
I remember when I went in, um, there was a guy called Deacon, and Deacon was coming in as I'm coming in, and whenever you go to jail, like they'll check you, like they strip you down, they check everything, and you go into a cell. So like Deacon goes to a separate cell, but like they call you to go to the nurse, and like this guy Deacon is like, "Psst, yo, go punch that police officer right now." And bro, like the stuff that happened there, I was like, some people deserve to be there. Like they don't
Hmm.
they but I was like, man, like her saying that nothing happened was not enough. And I was like, man, I do not deserve to be here right now. Like I'm going to the judge with a chain around my waist. And I was like, bro, like they say you're innocent until proven guilty. I think it's a lie. I think you're guilty until proven innocent. So I think
Yeah.
it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Because
My,
if you're
my,
innocent, why are you there?
right.
Yeah.
Well, and my dad actually showed up to the bond hearing or whatever, that like preliminary stuff, and they tried to the prosecutor, because they had basically done an investigation on us for a couple months, whatever. The Drug Enforcement Bureau, when they showed up, it was like 40 of them deep, full mast, no police cars. Like that's how deep they were. They thought they were walking into the freaking mother lode. And my lawyer was like, dude, they're pissed because like they didn't get anything. They got, I mean, like 20 grand in cash. It was like barely over my legal limit for all my caregivers cards. Like they didn't get anything. So they're for sure pissed. But the prosecutor tried to do a $10,000 bond, and my dad was there and he was ready to do it and pay it, because he was just like, I'm not gonna let you sit there. And he knew that I had the money for it. But the the judge goes, no priors, no record, absolutely not. Own recognizance, boom, out. And I'm like, that was God for sure, 100%. Because like everyone else, bro, they were, I mean, riot act, freaking 5,000, 2,000. Mine was the highest one, was 10 grand. And I'm like, this dude over here, like, literally is on freaking things for stealing. Like, what? Like, what did I do? Like, I barely even
That-
broke the law. like,
yeah,
like 10 grand? Dude, my heart dropped. Like,
yeah.
and then I had
That's how it is.
one of my old drivers got arrested too, and his thing was 10 grand. And I was just like, why are we're the only white boys in here? I mean, like, really, we were the only white boys there, and ours was 10 grand. And like you could hear like
Yeah,
like, yeah, dude. And then nothing. Owner cognizance. I'm like, dude, that was God. Like, especially looking back, like everything how it all played out. Like, I still remember getting that lawyer's number. Like
yeah,
exactly in a motel in Mesa, Arizona, getting product, and he gave it to me. If it wasn't for him, I mean, Hell's Angels lawyer,
yeah,
like full
yeah,
tat, sleeved, everything. Like, dude, without him, who knows?
yeah. He's the real deal.
He's a G. He's a G for sure. I'm gonna clip this and send it to him. Richard Gaxiola, you're a G. So
Well, thank God you had him.
yeah, for real. No joke. No joke. Um, let's dive into a couple more questions here. How do you build a reputation inside of your business that matches your online presence?
I think that it's crazy because you're asking me a whole bunch of questions that I've been talking about all day.
That's
So
a God
I,
thing.
I yes, it is. I think that the biggest thing is having being personal with people. Like I think that one of the biggest flaws that I see a lot of people do is like social media somehow was meant to bring us together. However, it has separated us as people as well. Like, oh, if you can't talk to me through here, don't talk to me. So it's like I really try to be very personal and very intentional with people when they come to my chair. So like whenever they talk to me about something that I posted that day, like it matters. Like I'm the type of guy like I'm looking at 100 things at the same time, but somehow I'm able to like kind of like do them all at the same time. But I think that that's how it is. Like everybody that comes to my chair, like I just try to like really enjoy life and enjoy that moment with them. So that's how I think I enjoy it. Um, I don't have like clients. Like I got friends. Like these are people that God has blessed me to do life with. Like I don't ever make you feel like unless you're a client that like is strictly about business, right? But I don't make you feel like you just come here to get a haircut. Like you come here to like
Right.
relax, enjoy. Like somehow, like I said, with social media, like when I started cutting hair, I started cutting hair at 13. Like barbers weren't cool. So like, but barber's shop was the only place that you can go and have any type of conversations and everybody felt safe around it because it was a place that everybody could connect. So I try to create that environment with me. So like, yes, I try to give you the understanding of what I did on social media, but I'm not trying to feel too big. I'm not trying to make you think I'm too big for you not to relate with me. So like I just keep
Right.
it very personal with the person.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what is the difference between truly being successful and, the fake it till you make it style of, people of influence or influencers aspiring to be people of influence, cuz in reality, everyone that's big in this industry is very humble, like to the core. It is what it seems like to me, at least. Everybody that's up on stages, you know, like Frank DeBarber. I mean, he's definitely one of the most humblest people I've ever seen, and he was signed with Babyliss for all those years, got signed with Level 3, and now I think he's with Stylecraft.
Uh, Great
Great
guy.
guy. Like, and I mean, back to your point about, if they can't afford the haircut, and he's like, I don't care, sit down in the chair. Like, he's like, I don't let people just, what they can afford is what they pay. Like, cool.
I'll give
That
you
he knows his purpose.
I'll give you a story on two big guys. Him and Los cut it. I was able to.
100%.
I'm not gonna share the personal side of it, but we went through some personal conversations and stuff like that. And after those guys saw me, they're like, "Bro, like you go through all of that, like because there's so many stuff that I've been through that I haven't even shared with social media that I'm about to share it now." And that's part of my ministry, right? And when I shared it with these two guys, they were like, "Man, like." I don't even really care about getting paid to go to your show. Like Los Cutter came to my show. It's like your show is the only show that I went and I was like a spectator of the show. Like I didn't work that show. I didn't educate. Like, and I enjoyed going there. Um, but I had that conversation with Frank, and Frank was the same way. He's like, bro, like I see how you are. You're always with your dad. You're always very respectful. Shout out to my dad. Like, we're probably gonna start doing a podcast pretty soon called the Father and Son podcast. So that's some
Let's
information
go.
most people know. But like he was like, bro, like y'all actually care. Like y'all are actually here shaking people's hand. Like y'all are actually paying attention. So like again, going back to like God gave me grace, like he gave me the ability like to do live with these guys and they were able to come to my show. And I paid them little to no money, but now I'm not saying that they weren't worth it, but we've had connected on such a personal level that they were able to just like come here and enjoy that time. So I know what type of people they are. The reason that they are there is because they understand that money is not what controls them and they know
Right.
where their that main source is coming that they know where that research is coming from, which is their main source.
Right. 100%. Yeah. And just to share a little testimony about Los Cut It, just, you know, I love to give kudos and props where it's due. Um, our first year at CT, he came up pre-show, which I didn't know this about him and Poppy Blends, but they go pre-show and they actually purchase from vendors and they don't take free for an answer. Like I tried. I was like, it's all good. Like you're another vendor, like go ahead, blah blah blah. And like I knew who he was because I'm from Wisconsin. He's from Chicago. But I was like, yeah, I was like, you're good. Like no. He was like, no, no, we pay for our stuff. And I was like, I love that. It just showed me so much respect, you know, and just to be able to be on that different like wavelength. And now, when I go up and I go up to another vendor, I I'd much rather pay for their stuff than get it for free, because it just shows that respect. And it was because of him doing that, CT year one, and he loved the product. I sat there with him, I helped him set it up, and, he loved the product. And, just as a token of appreciation, like we created 100 custom Boppr cards that have his goat logo on it in red because
Wow,
it
that's nice.
because it was just like, dude, you showed us love in the beginning when we were nobody, when we had no money, a crappy backdrop, like not crappy, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like a pillowcase banner. It was just standard. Like you could see the poles and stuff. Like we really weren't what we are now. Um, and you supported us then. We wanted to thank him so much. And I gave him it at Midwest Trade Show, and he was like, "You want a video? You want da da da?" Like he was still like trying to like give, and I'm like, I don't care what you do with them. I wanted to give this to you because we are so thankful that you came up to us and supported us in the beginning. We don't need
Yeah,
anything.
they just give. They just give. Those are people that they will always be blessed, and because they're
Mhm.
givers. Like I had that experience too with like Pacino's. Like I remember when Pacino's came to my expo. He came the same year Lowe's cut. I think that was the dopest show that year. We're trying to replicate that again, but he came and he bought stuff from everybody, and after he bought, he went to the state, like, you know what, I'm gonna throw these back to y'all. Because he was like, I was that company at one point that nobody wanted to buy from until eventually, we all know who Pacino is now at
Right.
CVS and Walmart and other things. But it just shows you like how these people do not lose their identity,
Right.
right? And that's the biggest thing. Like when you make it, are you still gonna be who you truly are? And these are people that I've shared a lot of personal stuff with that they are who they say they are.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, I mean, I'll share a little testimony about Pacino as well, because while we're at it, we were at Health and Wealth Summit with Jay Majors backstage. My partners and I were, I mean, starving, hungry because we were manning the booth while all the education was going on because people were still coming out, and because the seminars basically were back to back to back to back. And we were back there, and he was like, "You hungry?" He was like, "I got an extra sandwich over here." He was like, "You look like you're starving, like you're itching." And I'm like, "Dude, yeah, I'm drained. Like I'm drained." I said, "But my partner actually just ordered pizza," and he was like, "No, no, no, you eat. Come on, you eat." And I was like, "Dude, like this is how this industry is. I mean, this is prior to going to CT year one. Like that was my
Yeah.
first experience with Jay." And little did he know, I was actually on the back end with Jackie for the Las Vegas Barber Expo, doing the whole entire rebrand and restructure of the website and everything like that. Boppr was behind all of that, and Jay didn't know. Jackie was just doing it behind the scenes because he was focused on the Health and Wealth Summit. And but it was just like, this is the industry that we're in. Like these people like are truly genuine, they're truly givers, and everybody that was up on that stage was, putting God first, from the first educator to Vic Blends at the end. I mean, it was an eye opener, to say the least.
And it's crazy because like that is what the industry used to be. I think that it has shifted. I think it's coming back now. But it's crazy how the biggest names are the humblest ones. You know,
Hmm.
I, I had that experience with Dio Master Barber. Like I never talked to Dio Master Barber because I didn't think I could afford him. We connected on a personal level. He's like, man, I love what you and your dad got going. Like, you know, and the reason that me and Dia were able to connect, and another person that I was able to connect was with Morano, was because a lot of people would see me with my dad in a lot of shows. I'm sure you've seen me.
Hmm.
And they that it was always like that. They think that we were always this close. They think that we were always like so successful. And the reality is that we're not. I remember my dad went through the hardest point of his life, and we had to sleep on bunk beds all together, me and my brother. And I remember my little brother had said like how hot he was, and my dad had told me that he felt like a failure. And my dad was so tough on me, pushing me, that I thought he almost hated me. So like there was a lot of times that I didn't talk to my dad, that I hated my dad. And it wasn't until now that I was like, I need my dad just the same way that he needed me.
Right.
And I understood that he's going to have flaws and I'm going to have flaws, but no matter what, I'm always going to have his back and he's always going to have mine. So, like, once I started taking him to events, I saw how that was helping him because, you know, my dad was a 20-year vet. My dad was only 10% of Hispanic gets to be officers. My dad retired as a major in the United States. Once he retired, he felt like he had no purpose because, like, you know, right, like you put your boots on, you go to work. Like he has no longer has that. So like what barbering did was like also connect us, you know, and it also put us with people with DL. Like they were like, wow, y'all went through that. Like you know, it doesn't seem like it, but like it was through trial and error that we got to be like that. And like my dad is such a big part of my business, because I do not think, well, first is because of God, of course, but I do not think that all these guys that are big names would have connected with me if my father wasn't with me throughout it all.
Right.
Through,
Yeah, because it shows your character through your dad. You know,
yeah.
him being there. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to like Marv. I mean, have you seen him and his pops? Like his pops just literally sits there and be filming the whole time, just like capturing every moment for him. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, and I told my wife, I'm like, I wish you would come around and be like my cheerleader. Like all these guys, I mean, they got someone like there for them. Like, can you come with me? Because it's just amazing to see
Let me
for
tell you
sure.
that there would be no other man in this world that would want you to succeed more or be better than your dad. No other man will want you to be better than them but your dad. Like your father is the only person that genuinely wants you to be better than them. Like every single day, like a lot of people, oh, he's gonna be better. My people tell me, oh, your son is better looking. Man, my son is better than me in everything that he do, and I'm
Right.
happy. Like I want that. That's my pride and joy. That's why I do it. So like, um, I didn't feel like that about my dad at one point. I was a little bit ignorant on that part, but I truly believe that my dad believes that I have the most potential in the world. Like I without the shadow of a doubt. Like I know that that's how my dad feels, and it took us a lot to get here, man. I wish that one day we could probably both come on this thing and talk more about God and talk about what he's done because you know when he was there, like I never seen my dad cry. First time I see my dad cry was when my mother died. You know,
Wow.
um, you know, bro, it's so much that goes into it. And we've been on this journey and I hated my dad, bro. I used to be a drunk in his house. He was like, you can't do this. Like I got aggressive with him. I got physical with him. And the day that I wanted to leave, he didn't want to let me leave. And then the next day he's like, you know what? I'm only letting you leave because God told me to let you leave. And I remember, and it shows me up because, you know, I'm a dad now. Um, he gave me a TV. He gave me like a bed set and everything. And he put um holy oil and on me and he was like, it hurts me, but I'm gonna let you go, son. And he let me go and it was hard, but I'm so glad where we are. So like I wouldn't imagine a life without him for sure.
100%. Yeah. It those those trying moments of your parents' tough love is what is I think it's what shapes us. In reality, it's really what shapes us. And obviously he was, you know, operating in the Holy Spirit to be able to, do that for you.
Hmm.
At the end of
Well,
the day, it was for you.
he got a call at 4 a.m. by a pastor, by a
Wow.
pastor that I don't even know who the pastor is. I've seen him, but I didn't know who he was. And he was like, you know, bless him and let him go. That's exactly what he said. Bless him and let him go.
And now
Yeah.
look, and now you're here
Yeah.
to testify about it.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad that I went through that. Now that I look at it, I would have probably stayed with him because I was like, sometimes we don't value some of those things, man. Like sometimes we don't know what people go through. It's like my dad was in the military. My dad would be with people, and then the next day they were dead. So like he had to learn how to be tough. He had to be tough,
Right.
So it's like now that I'm a father, that I have to sacrifice a lot to provide for my son. I was like, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Man, that's crazy. That's so wild. Well, I mean, my parents got a divorce when I was 13, and I think seeing them go through that and knowing that both my parents loved God and
Hmm.
they lacked communication. And that was ultimately the main reason for their divorce. But I went through a season where I didn't like my dad. I had zero relationship with him at all. Um, I was supposed to be like 50-50 between the two. And um, long story short, I felt like he crossed the line and I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't talk to him for, I don't know, it was a while, maybe a year, something like that, probably, maybe even two. He would remember I blanked out that whole entire period. But then he met a new woman years later. Like, yeah, so it had to have been 2 years because he waited after my parents had gotten divorced. And then this woman was a woman of God. Like, I mean, to the T. Not saying that my mom isn't and wasn't, but to a T, woman of God. They were just friends. My dad had zero interest in her, did not want to date. She wanted to date. Long story short, they ended up marrying each other, had a beautiful marriage. She passed away about a year and a half ago, from cancer. But because of her, my dad's walk with Christ got exponentially, probably 10, 15 times stronger. Um, like to the point where like he didn't believe in speaking in tongues at all, thought it was hoopla, garbage. And then he told me prior to her passing that he had that encounter and was speaking in tongues. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, and I mean, he was the biggest skeptic of it. And I was too until he said that. But that just shows, and because of her, being with my dad and him getting closer to Christ is also the same reason why I became drawn closer to Christ as well, because I had three people praying for me those years that I was doing that medical marijuana delivery service and all of that kind of stuff. And they were praying for me to go to church and, seek Christ, seek him.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that situation and going through that and having my dad back in my life because of her, literally because of her, if it wasn't for her, I would have had zero. She came up to me on a lawn that was two houses down that I was mowing and was like, "Your dad had an attack on his life, a spiritual attack on his life." And I don't want to share his whole testimony, but we'll just say it was bad. It was very bad, and it stems from his childhood too. And when she told me that, I was like, all right, I'll meet with him. I'll talk. So those moments were what shaped, my faith and everything was because of those moments. And it sounds very similar to yours where those moments now reflecting back on it shaped your faith and your belief and your conviction of God.
And it did because if there's one thing, my dad, man, and I'll tell you this story, man. My dad always told me be better than me. Like my dad was not a perfect man by any means, but he always seek for perfection, and he made sure that I did that as well. And one thing that my dad taught me, he's like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do on Saturday, no matter what, you're waking up on Sunday to go to church.
Yep.
And I was an adult already. I was in my 20s. I don't remember. And I went to Puerto Rico. I think I was like 24. This must have happened like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And I went out, and me being he always says Fernand, but Fernando wants to be Fernando. Like he always tells me. Um, and he was like, "Listen, you're gonna go out. I don't give a damn how old you are. Like you're waking up tomorrow." And I didn't listen. We were supposed to go to church at 7:30. I got home at 6:30. I go to sleep at 6:30. At 6:45, this man wakes me up. I'm like, I just got here. I was like, I told you I don't care. So like, I'm literally in church. I'm literally in church with no sleep. And I think he did this on purpose. He sits where the AC is, and the AC is hitting me on my ear, and I'm like, and I'm like, I I told you, I told you I don't care what happens. You're going to church, so it was like that. I will never forget that. But I'm glad I shared that because my grandma that just passed last year, um, she had Alzheimer's, and I think that that was one of the last memories that she kind of like had. Um, and the thing is, like, even though I wasn't at my greatest there, like I'm glad that I went because I'm sure it meant a lot for her. So like we went back to our house, our childhood church. So my grandma loved that church, and I'm glad I went. So yeah, he didn't play about that church. No matter what you do on Saturday, you're waking up on Sunday.
Yep. Yep. I'll never forget being out until 2 o'clock in the morning. I had just got my license and I was watching a movie with a girl, and I called my dad. My mom said that I had to be home at like 10 or 11 or whatever, like I had a curfew. And I was like, I paid for my own car, my own insurance, my own gas, and I'll pay the curfew ticket if I get one.
You still live in their house.
and and well, my parents were already divorced. So I was like, call dad. Dad said, he's a good kid. He doesn't get in trouble. Just let him be. If he gets in trouble, we'll cross that line. And I showed up 2 o'clock. I called, but I did call my parents to ask for an extension. And from that day forward, I never had a curfew because I never got in trouble. Thank God. And I never did anything to get in trouble except for, be out with a girl. And I wasn't like wilding out or anything. Like we were just watching a movie or jumping on a trampoline. Like it was just stupid. Uh, but he said that was the one thing he said. He goes, "You home?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Go to bed. You got church in the morning."
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that shows, I mean, I was 13 when they got divorced. I was 16 when I had my car. And man, thank God he
Yeah.
got closer to God, you know, because it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I did. It was, you're going to church on Sunday.
But I think that's the biggest thing about life right now that a lot of parents wants to compromise those things. And like
Mm.
my dad told me these things, like yes, you have to have that connection with your son, and you have to let him be open, like, but you can never be a friend. Like people say, like, I'm gonna be my son's friend. At the end of the day, you have to be a father, and no one knows what's better for your son than you that had him. And a lot of people say, well, how will you know that? Well, I taught him how to eat. I taught him how to walk. I know everything. Like I seen this kid grow. So it's like at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what's right for you, even though if you don't want it, because I know what's right for you. So like your job as a father is to be a dad. Like and you're gonna be a dad no matter what. So like a friend of people can change, but a father will always remain a father, and I take a lot of pride in that. So and I learned it because of my dad, right? Even though my dad wasn't as present as I'm with my son, and I'm not saying my dad wasn't present, but my parents were divorced. I'm there for my son. Like I see my son every day, so like part of how I do things is really because my dad taught me, and that's how he did it. I'm a little bit different because I'm a little bit more lenient, but at the end of the day, it's gonna all be the same result.
Right. Right. It's you're not a gentle parenting parent. You're still stern, but it's not
Oh
that. If
no, well, if he needs it, he needs it. If he needs
he
it,
needs it, he
but
needs
yeah,
it, right?
I think my son, God has done the best kid in the world. Like my son has a good job. Like the other day, I took him to school, and with his mom, he's a little bit tougher. He throws tantrums and stuff, right? He's a mama's boy. And the other
Nothing
day,
wrong
like
with
I
that.
told his mom, I, I told, well, I was a mama's boy too. So I told
Uh-huh.
his mom, go inside. I'm gonna go get my wallet. So I took him with me, and he tries to throw a tantrum with me. And I was like, stop. And like I didn't even scream or I didn't even spank him or nothing. I was like, stop. He was like, Dad, I don't want to go. I just want to go riding horses. I was like, and at that point, I feel a little bit bad because I was like, he in his way, he's telling me, he's like, he know he's going to school. So he's like, I'm not gonna be with my dad. But at the same time, I have to I let him understand like this is something you need to do. Like sometimes in life, you're gonna go through situations that even though you don't want to do them, you have to do them. Like, and
Right.
I'm having a conversation with my son, and I was like, I promise you, if you do this, I'll take you riding horses. And he went in. He was super scared, and I saw my son face kind of like be sad, but it was unbelievable because I was like, even though this kid does not want to do this and he's super afraid, he's doing it because he trusts me so much, right? And in reality, like he might think that, oh, my dad is unbeatable. Like my dad is doesn't have fear. I got more fear than he has, right? Because
Right.
this this a piece of my heart. But I have to teach him how to fish. I cannot fish it for him.
Mhm.
And that's my job as a father. That's my duty. Nobody taught me, nobody told me what to do. That's your duty as a dad. That's what you have to do. Like I see a lot of men tell, well, I have to do this for my kid. And that's your job. That's your function,
Right.
and I don't think that I need a recognition for being a father. That's my job. I brought him to this world, and that's what I'm gonna do. And until the last breath that I give, like is gonna be for him. So I think my dad did a good job of being a protector and being a provider. And no matter how tired or how in pain he did it, and he was great at it.
Mhm. Thank God, right?
Yeah.
For real. All right, let's tackle one more question. We're running on an hour and 53 minutes, which is amazing and crazy at the same time. I love long conversations because honestly, I'll be completely transparent with you. Outside of the like barber industry friends that I got, like I don't be talking to a lot of people. Like it's my wife, the people in Bible, my men's Bible study, and like I got a couple homies back in Wisconsin. That's about it. My partners, like, so
Yeah.
I love long conversations because I'm very thankful for them because I don't get them that often. It's usually me and a $500,000 Rolls Royce, and that's my conversation for the day.
Yeah. Hey, that won't be bad. I would love to have one of those too.
I I ain't got one, but I detail a lot of them. I did four
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
today, so
You could at least pretend that you do.
yeah, you act as if it's already here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I they're all tax write offs. I mean, that's what all of the clients that I have get them for. I mean, I
Of
had
course.
a client get two of them two colony-ins, and because they're over 6,000, 6,500 pounds, they're both write-offs for the business.
It doesn't hurt to drive them either, you
Yeah,
know.
no, not at all. Not at all. And the Bible talks more about money than it does about anything else. And it says nothing about you can't have an abundant life and all of that kind of stuff. It says you have to be a
It,
good steward of your money.
it says that the borrower will be a slave of the lender too.
Hmm. Yep.
And it says that you got to pay your debts too.
So getting into that topic is a perfect segment to go into. Last question, and then we'll wrap it up. What does wealth mean to you now compared to when you started?
I think we touched a little bit on this. I thought wealth was only an amount of money. I remember that I always wanted to have $100,000. When I had $100,000 in my bank, like liquid, I had over $100,000. I remember, um, I was in Mexico, and I remember, and I'm gonna be as honest as possible. I went outside. I was in underwear, and I felt like the king of the world. I was like, I got $100,000. I got a wife. Well, yeah, I got a wife. I got a. Right after that, I found out I was gonna be a father. I had a house. I put $80,000 into um, renovations and stuff like that. And I help a lot of people that didn't deserve my help, like that didn't pay the favor back. And one thing I noticed is like that 100,000 went by really quick. And when I had my son, I understood that my son doesn't even know how much money I have in the bank, but he do know if I don't go pick him up at school, you know? So
Right.
what wealth is to me is like, are you joyful in every area of your life, right? Because I believe like you can have 100,000 and you can have a million. It doesn't matter if you're not happy. It doesn't. If you don't have joy, it doesn't change anything. So it's like health is wealth. So like first, are you healthy mentally? Are you healthy physically? Are you healthy financially? And are you healthy spiritually? Now, you have to think like, how does that happen? Mentally, I was a person that I never liked to study. I never liked to read. I never got my diploma. Well, I graduated, but didn't get my diploma because in the state of Florida, that's a whole nother story. But right now, I'm taking college course. I'm about to go to college and stuff, and it's not really for nothing, but it's really just for me to be mentally healthy. The reason that I'm on my Bible every single day is for me to be healthy spiritually, and the reason that I'm with mentors and people is because I want to be healthy financially. And the reason that I'm going to the gym and doing all these things in my life is because I want to be healthy physically, right? So, like, why? What wealth looks like to me, whenever my son is 18, am I going to be able to like be there for him, right? Because like all of these things are sin. Like a lot of people think like, oh, owning fornication and stuff like that. Yeah, but if you have money and all you do is eat and you're not healthy, that's your temple. Like you're not taking
Right.
care of your temple. So like what wealth is like to me is like it doesn't matter the amount of money. Like am I able to be a good steward of that? If I have my family, like what am I doing to lead my family closer to God? What am I doing to be healthy mentally, financially, physically, and spiritually? So that's what true wealth means to me. And again, your main source is Jesus Christ. My main source is Jesus Christ. Once that is in my life, I have everything I need. So
Hmm.
that's what real wealth means. And you will see that the more you have them, the better it is. You could have a car and have no destination to drive to. You could have a house, but you have no home. So I've realized that the people around me is what makes it, or what gives it value. So
Right.
to me, I'm not saying that I don't want to have a car. I'm not saying that I don't want to have the money. If I don't have the people that I love in that, I
Right.
don't want it.
Yeah, you want everything, or just all of the other stuff and nothing material,
Yeah.
because all the materialistic stuff doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's here
But
today, it's gone tomorrow.
material stuff comes. Like for example, I was talking to a person today. I just got a DJI camera. This is my third one that I have. And I remember my first one, I lost it going to Mexico, and I left it. Like I carried my son and I put it down. And my son, every time my son goes through a hard time, like I deal with him, like because he listens to me, right? And I put it down and I forgot the camera. And I'm in Mexico. I was like, wow, I forgot my camera back in Orlando. And I remember my sister-in-law lost a pair of glasses, and they say, "Oh my God, you lost my glasses." And my brother-in-law says, "Fernando lost his 600. That camera was $600. He's like, "Fernando lost his $600 camera. You just seeing him wearing." I was like, "You know what, Carlos? When I go back, I have $600 in my credit card. I could go and buy a new one. Why would I mess up my vacation with my family over a $600 camera when you can get it again? And if
Right.
anything, by next year, there will be another camera." Like we put so much value into things that are not gonna matter a year from now. So
Right.
you really think that I'm gonna mess up a lifetime experience with my father? This was the first vacation that I had my wife, my father, my son, and my whole family together. Do you think I'm gonna mess this up for
Over a camera.
$600? Let me
Right.
tell you, I'm gonna leave you with this. Well, I'm not gonna leave you, but I'm gonna finish with this question. The most expensive currency in the world is time.
Time.
Why?
Mhm.
Because you can always make money back. The only thing that you don't take that you cannot take back is time. So
Facts.
whenever people that you love value that time, because you do not know when is the last time you see that person. The worst thing that we do as human beings and that we think that we have tomorrow promised, and we do not. One day I
At
had
all.
my mother. Next day I was burying her, and I did not know what I had until I lost her.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, people don't understand that. I'll never forget. It was actually the like 4 days before CT, and we had flown to Chicago. Me and not the average barber, Dominico, he was with me, and we were in Chicago. We wanted to go sightseeing. We actually stopped at headquarters to try and see Los, but he was gone. But we parked in a parking garage, and he set his DJI on it. Same situation. Drove off. We're driving back to Wisconsin from Chicago, and he goes, "My camera, my camera." Like we're 15 minutes from the parking garage. He was like, my camera," and I'm like, "Oh man." He was like, "I left it on the top of the vehicle," and I was like, we'll drive back. Well, hopefully it's on the ground somewhere, you know." And we drove back, retraced our to the steps, and he was like, "Oh well." He was like, "Money comes, money goes." He was like, "I'll make it back." And I'm like, "Dude, 600. It's like same DJI gimbal camera." I'm like, and he just got it, and I felt so bad because like he wanted to take that to CT to film and all of that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, he went through it like it was nothing. He was just like, no big deal. He wasn't going to let it ruin, the trip and the half vacation that he kind of got, by going to Wisconsin with me before the show. So it, I love that you realize that those moments don't matter. The material things don't matter, because so many times people get caught up and they ruin a good moment. And I mean, I've done it. I've done it with my wife. I let some stupid situation on the road just ruin the whole entire day. And it's like, why? Why do we let things just anger us out of nothing? Usually it's because we're not fed either financially, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. And most of
And that,
mine
and
is
that, and
all
that,
hunger.
and that's what I'm telling people. If you have any sorts of ego, do not get married and do not go in business. Do not.
Right. 100%.
Because even when and this happens a lot in marriage, even when you're wrong, even when you're right, you still have to learn how to say I'm sorry and be wrong. Like and we make so many problems, and it's not, it could be fixed. As long as there's life and health, everything else can happen.
Facts. Facts. Yep. It's a blessing. It's definitely a blessing, especially when you can give grace and you can receive grace.
For
That's
sure.
that's the number one thing in marriage, is giving and receiving grace, cuz
Amen.
you're going to get annoyed, you're going to get frustrated, things are going to happen, and it's like it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Like, don't go to bed angry, don't go to bed upset. You love each other and you don't know if tomorrow's promised at all, you know?
Mhm.
And my wife was brought up in a home that it was more transactional love is what it kind of seems like. And the first time that she ever experienced unconditional love was with me. And now she's really, really seeing it after her mom passed and everything. And the family's, doing whatever. She really sees that this is what unconditional love is. Like, the people that are there for you in your worst and checking up on you and are 100% in your corner and praying with you are the ones who truly, truly love you unconditionally. And, whether you speak out of pocket or whatever, can show you that grace, can show you that forgiveness that, God shows us. So I love that. So last thing, what's your message to the next generation of barbers? Then we'll close in this.
Man, to be honest, keep your faith and your vision on God. You know, like, we live in a world that everybody will fail us. Even we could even fail ourselves. So, like, we need that support from something bigger than us. And it's like I tell people, I rather live like there is a God, and if there is no God, I I rather live like there is a God, and if there's no God, I have nothing to lose. But if I live like there's no God and there is indeed a God, then I lose everything because I lose my salvation.
Exactly. Yep. And I think that's one key tip right there is if yeah, oof, that that used to be taught in church a lot. Like, used to be said all the time. And I don't think that I've heard that in probably like 4 or 5 years from our pastor or any pastor that I listen to. And I think that that's something that really needs to be said, especially in, our times right now where it's kind of like feels like we're getting to the end of times. What if there is a God?
Hmm.
Would you rather live under that salvation, or would you, risk it to go to hell? I mean, that's a pretty bad bet. I mean, you have a pretty easy out over here, and even the devil believed in God. It's all about the relationship that you have with your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
For sure.
And if you don't have a relationship with him and accept him into your heart, like I said, even the devil believes in God. So you have to have that relationship with him and accept him into your heart.
Amen
So
to that.
I love that. Well, that's how we'll close this one for sure. I appreciate you so much. For those that are still tuning in and for those that have watched this till the end, I just want to thank you for turning into Bop with a Purpose podcast with Nando Corpse. Thank you and have a blessed week.
Be safe, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Faith, business, impact. You're tuned into Bop with a Purpose podcast, where purpose leads and success follows.